Yeah. Yeah.
Okay, sir. Appreciate
As long as it's
Hey, how are you?
That's really all I have to
Yeah.
Unfortunately. I tried to tell you.
I'm not your man, but yeah. It's okay. He's great at surgery. Otherwise, he doesn't.
I was just. But she had.
She's an interview.
We will call our June 23rd meeting to order. And we're glad to have the school board with us always. And we came at 4 o'clock, so
We got fun one.
we're in bad shape. So I guess it's 5 o'clock, right?
So, 5 o'clock.
But that's all our heads. And Mr. Woody, would you lead us in
I'm
prayer?
glad to take it. Our Heavenly Father, we thank you, Lord, for this beautiful day that you have created for us, dear Heavenly Father, on this side of eternity. Lord, for the blessings of this life, which we know come down from the bountiful hand, Lord, we thank you. We thank you and we praise you. Dear Heavenly Father, for people gathered here this evening, Lord, I thank you for them. Thank you, Lord, for the interest that they have in our county and in our children. Dear Heavenly Father, I ask, Lord, you be with us this evening. Lead, guide, and direct us, Lord, and help any decisions that are made be in accordance to your will. Lord, we thank you for the protection that you've placed around our county in the last several months. But ask, dear Heavenly Father, that you would continue to keep a hedge of protection around us. Dear Heavenly Father, most of all, we thank you for Jesus and for what he did for us so long ago, Lord, on the cruel and rugged cross. Dear Heavenly Father, that on the third day you raised him. We thank you and we praise you, Lord. It's in Jesus' name we pray. Amen.
Amen. And, you know, since we're doing the video and stuff, got to do a little different than when we're doing meeting up fire. We need to go around on the commissioner board and each one identify itself, and we'll start with Mr. Woody Young here.
Woodall Young Jr., Commissioner.
Martha Hicks, Chair.
Dennis Aldridge, Commissioner.
Tim Phelps, Commissioner.
White Vance, Commissioner.
Right, and we'll turn it over to you, John, and you do whatever
Okay,
you.
thank you. Thank you. Ms. Martha, we'll go ahead and call to order two. Motion to move to open our meeting.
I make a motion.
Thank you, Kathy. Second.
Second.
Thank you, Pat. All in favor? Thank you, Steve. We'll introduce ourselves too, if that's okay, Martha. I'm John Green, the Chair of the Avery County Board of Education.
Hi, I'm Steve Smith, board member.
Pat Edwards, board member. Kathy Aldridge, co-chair.
Dan Reagan, Superintendent.
And Ms. Jane Bumgarner would be here, but she's helping to do interviews this evening. So she was not able to be both places at once. All right, I'll hand it back over to you, Martha. Thank you.
All right. And we want to welcome everyone, and we've got Cindy over, she tries to hide, but she's secretary, and we have Ashley, our interim manager, and we have Philip over here, Philip Barrier. I don't know what he is.
Bottle washer, been on vacation.
But, but we'll get right into our business, and the first thing on the agenda is the Cross North School roof and project. Whoever wants to start that out with the school board.
Okay, Martha, well, I'll hand it over to Dr. Brigman in a moment. Before we do that, I'm just going to, again, thank you all for hosting us tonight and for the support that you give Avery County Schools. I know we say that all the time, but it is true. This is such a good working relationship that we have between our two boards to serve not only the children of Avery County, but all of Avery County. So thank you all for that. We certainly do appreciate that. And we've been talking about Cross North Roof for several years now. Knew that it was coming up, and it has come time that we need to make some decisions on that, and we look forward to getting that project done. And with that, I'll hand it over to Dr. Britton.
Thank you, Mr. Green. I want to give each of you a heartfelt thank you for your support, not only for our annual budget approval, but for the approval of the go-ahead to seek bids for the replacement of the Cross North Elementary School roof. It's something we've been dealing with quite some time, and reflecting back to our last joint meeting back in January, we had a discussion about the roof. We discussed metal versus shingle, and at that time it was pretty much unanimous that metal would be the best investment for the long-term sustainability and the life of that roof. We're fortunate to have with us Mr. Jeffrey Jones, aka Mr. Cash, over in the corner. And with him is our project engineer, Mr. Hall, if I remember that correctly. Mr. Hall is with us. He drove up to join us tonight. We did get the bids with Mr. Hall's support. The bids came in, and the roof was under what we estimated originally at 1.5 million. A lot's transpired since January. So we did get the bids in, and at this time, Mr. James, Mr. Hall, you all want to just update us and update the commission on where we are at with those metal roof bids?
Thank you, Dr. Griffin. As Dr. Griffin said, we did open our bids, and we passed the bid tab on to the county the week following for your approval. I believe what has led us here tonight. So we're ready to begin the project as soon as funding is allocated. I'll let Mr. Hall or Nelson, as we call, we'll let Nelson speak to that in just a minute and answer any questions. We pretty much just come to you tonight to answer any questions that you may have as to where we are, what we need to do, where we're going. When we bid the project, I met with Mr. Hall the first time, we solely went with a metal roof replacement. As Dr. Griffin said, last time we met in January, we talked about it. That was the direction that we felt we were given. So we have not looked at the possibility of shingles, what that cost would be. We just hit the line with metal, put those out there, got back to the bid, and the results were very close. So I don't believe we had a single bidder that was way above anybody else and one that was way below. They ranged from the low bid with Cityscape at 1.4 million and change to Team Craft, which was slightly higher, 1.8. The average would have been around 1.5. As Dr. Griffin said, when we met in January, we provided to you the letter that we gave our board back in the first fiscal year, estimating that a shingle roof would run approximately $800,000, what we were thinking at that time, and the metal roof would be 1.5. So we felt good about the bid. Where it came in, it did come in slightly under the 1.5. I do know that there are additional costs associated to that. We have the engineering costs, as well as we've got some groundwork we need to do for the guttering system. And what we decided to do there, what we'd like to do there, is we pulled that groundwork out of the bid and decided that would be something that we could bid out locally. We have enough people in our county that are well versed in digging, and we felt like it would just be better for the county for us to do that than it would be to take a roofing company that's potentially coming from off the mountain and let them subcontract that out and then them add their 10% plus their bond plus their profit margin. So we just felt like we'd be better off all around to do it that way. And of course, now we can do it the other way if y'all tell us, but that's kind of where we are. And so with that, Mr. Nelson's here to answer any questions and provide you any information that you feel you need at this time.
Jeff, I'd like to ask one question before we get started. How many bids did we take on this?
Four.
Okay.
We had 5 contractors that we went through a pre-qualification process, similar to what we do with school building construction. So we had 5 contractors that responded. Of the 5, 4 we pre-qualified. There was one that we disqualified because they just didn't fill out the paperwork correctly. And they can't do that on pre-bid. We felt like that would qualify them to move forward.
What is the actual scope of the work that's got to be done? Is it just a metal replacement? Is there some structural damage? I mean, what has to be done?
Okay, what we're doing is we're taking taking all the old shingles off. And what we'll do then is we'll cover the entire roof with ice and water shingles. That way, and we're doing that for a couple of reasons. It gets all the mess out of the way to start with. This job is going to be slow going back in terms of putting the new metal roof assembly back on because there's so much flashing. I'll show you about that in just a minute. And there's several advantages to putting that ice and water shield that keeps you dry during the project and it gets the mess all over and done with it to start the job. Then the, first thing you start with the metal roof is you put the gutters and the flashings in, and then you hook everything to that, so that so it's got an expansion joint, with flashings, and then you go up to the ridge cap and fasten the roof there, and then you put your ridge cap on there to get it all panels. The problem is with this roof, it's cut up. You can see through the layout of the roof, typically, okay, here's one side. If you look, we've got one or two roofs that don't have penetrations on, but they'll get the flashing in, they'll get started on this roof, only 6 panels, then they got to start flashing around this unit. Which of course slows them down, and it's just, then they get around that unit finally, and they get here and they land about 20 panels, then they just start flashing this out. And it's just that way, you can see ridge, I mean, gable, it's that way around the entire roof, and that's one, and it's just a very labor intensive job. We've been doing this a long time. We got a system that works for this, because the flashing is the most important part of the metal roof system. So we spend a lot of time on the flashing, detailing it out, and contractors, that's going to be the slow walking them through. We feel like we've been doing this for 25 years with these details, and we really never had a failure. And I'm not going to stand here and tell you we never had a roof leak, but we have had a roof leak. We spent millions and millions of square feet. But we don't have very many.
Is there any change to anything underneath the roof structure? Because that seems to have been the question from day one. It was the manner in which that was put together. So this does nothing to resolve that issue, correct?
We were not aware that there was a truss issue as much as there was a ventilation issue.
So
The trusses are in good shape, that's why I'm asking for clarification. We didn't know the ventilation was the issue for it.
The ventilation was the issue, and and I don't know because I'm just speculating, and you know what that's worth, but I would guess that the architect who designed the school said, let's put a metal roof on this thing, and he designed it like that, and then the budget got tight, and they said, we're going to go shingle. And then it wasn't finished, it's that shingle. We can put shingles back on it, and I can show you what we got to do that, get a warranty on my screen. That's the
Ventilation board.
Ventilation was my original failure, yeah, and probably the flashing around. All of these penetrations, you just got valleys and ridges, and you just got a lot of flashing in there that the shingles have to go in and bend the fiberglass. They don't like to be, and another one's got to lay in there on top of it and bend, and they don't like that. And the fact that they get so hot makes them crack. And that's one.
What's the life expectancy of the roof system like this one is proposed?
If you take care of it, this roof will last you 50 years.
Is the ventilation going to be addressed?
With a metal roof, you don't have to ventilate it. There's a little bitty airspace between the metal and the ice and water shield, but it's metal. But that's enough to.
Will that take care of the condensation?
Well, we're not going to have any condensation, and that's one of the reasons we're putting that ice and water shield down. We want that ice and water shield down there to stop that condensation, getting up to the metal where it can condense. And it serves as a vapor retarder, and it also serves as an air barrier, which I don't know how much y'all know about wind damage to roofs, but buildings don't blow away, they blow up. Because when the wind starts blowing, the air pressure gets lower, and it's enough to make these buildings literally blow up. Well, what you do by controlling that air pressure is you spread it out with that ice and water shield and waterproofing membrane, you spread that load out over a great big wide area. So it's not putting a whole lot of stress on just one pass.
Mr. Hall, you are, the contractor is going to be removing all of the existing shingles and take it down to
To comply with the
plywood. Is that
service. Yes, I've got a diagram of exactly what you have. Would y'all like to see that? Won't hurt.
Well, one reason we're asking so many
You see-
questions is at one time,
Have you seen?
Steve can remember they said that the Raptors was going to have to come off, and that's why we're asking so many questions.
We weren't made aware of it.
I'm not so sure about that. One of the main things, is up on the top, the only ventilation coming on the ridge cap. They were talking about maybe one different style of roof, maybe have to maybe change the pitch or something a little bit. But he's already looked at this design to fit.
We didn't see any visible issues with the structure when we were up there working. If you want us to do a structural analysis of it, you can do that. I don't think we need to get into that.
Please no.
Well, somebody's saying we can do it, but we don't need to, if you're turning down work, tell us you don't need to do it. That makes it up for
Well,
me.
we want to do it, we want to give you enough to get the job done. We'll still
The initial report that we provided to you back in 2016 on the structure and what was causing the shingles to deteriorate, the roofs began leaking. Mr. Cannon at that time, he indicates that the lack of ventilation may have been a factor in the splitting. That the roof heats up and cools down. The induced stresses cannot be relieved at each shingle as they should. Every item that he's referring to, the issue that has to do with the ventilation. And he does not reference anything in the document about that the rafters have been damaged. It may have been said at a meeting that if we don't repair the roof and the roof begins to leak, a leak could lead to an issue with the rafters needing to be replaced because of water damage. But that was not addressed in this report. And of which he did say that we would need to address this within 3 to 5 years in order to keep further damage from happening.
I'll go back to my original question. Does this address the ventilation problem?
Yes, it does. You have some gables up there. And the gables are, the only ventilation you need is enough to run your HVAC. The metal roof does not have to be ventilated. If you elect to go with shingles, I've got another drawing and we can go over it. Okay. But we have addressed, we know that there's a problem with putting shingles on this roof. We know that we can put the metal on there without having to go to great lengths about ventilating because the metal is going to expand and contract, and the way we've got it designed, it will not hurt it not to have a ventilation system. As a matter of fact, it probably will function better without a ventilation system.
Is this a written warranty for 50 years?
No, it's a rent warranty. What we've got is a 30-year warranty on all components of the roof system. And that includes the low slope support and the
Okay. But it should, because this other roof is 20 years. Is that normal for asphalt?
for shingles.
Yeah.
Shingles last 20 years. By the time you get to 20 years, usually you're ready to replace them because they've been leaking for about 3 to 4 years. It's a general rule. Now, mine's been on our house for 15, 18 years now. But I put the very best I could buy on there because I didn't want to. I put the ice and water shield over them. And it would do your roof if you elected good shingles the same way I did mine. But I know that I can start seeing some fiberglass on the edges. and it's going, it's 12 more years.
It don't make a whole lot of sense to spend 800,000 on shingles and turn around in 20 years and spend another 800,000 on shingles again. Or 900,000 on me, and then you're not going to get a piece of metal.
Well, you're gonna have two advantages with the mill. You're gonna have a roof that's gonna last a long time. You take care of this roof, and basically you just gotta keep the gutters clean, make sure you don't have a bunch of stuff up there that's accumulating laying on the roof and get when rust starts. You know, steel's 24 gauge galvanized steel, and it's called galvanized. It's got an aluminum coating in there, and then after the aluminum coating is put on, there is a Kynar finish, whatever color y'all want, there's a Kynar finish that goes on, and that's got a 20-year color color.
A good example of life is Riverside. Approximately 35 years, Riverside, metal roof, has had some minor maintenance. I lived for 20, 25 years.
I'm 35, had minor maintenance too, and I'm still here. Minimal maintenance.
Back to conversation.
Yes, sir.
If Steve can tell you, we've seen as much as 50 degrees variances in temperature on the same day. Right?
This metal roof,
Condensation somewhere.
that it is, and we have done a dew point calculation on this. And the dew point in this roof is, depending on what time of the year it is, it's down in the insulation. And when it's down in the insulation, it doesn't have anything condensed in it. It condenses on, then it stays in the gaseous form. It doesn't turn into water. It can't get up high enough to a cold surface because we've got the vapor retardant, we've got the insulation up there. It can't, the water vapor can't get to the place with the condensation. In other words, you've got your metal, you've got the waterproofing membrane, you got a layer of plywood, and you got a layer of 3-inch plastic foam insulation. Well, that moisture is trying to get up to that metal to condense. That's what it wants to do. It wants to get up there next to that cold surface. It can't, the way we've got this roof design built, it can't do that. Now we've got screws going through it. And if it's 10 degrees outside or 0 degrees outside, and it's below, I grew up in Mitchell County, so I know about that stuff. You know, those screws, you might get a drop or two on one or two of those screws, but I feel very comfortable you're not going to have a condensation problem. We looked at that, we've done a calculation on that, and feel it. Now, there's one place that you had those dormers where the vents are. Those, now, I'm almost positive I'm right because my associate come up here and looked at that, but he said when he looked inside, there wasn't any insulation on the deck in there. So that might be where some of the problems where you've had condensation in the past. What we're going to do when we get this project started, take those loopers off, insulate around that pipe that's coming out so that there's not a cold steel surface up there with condensation. That might be one of the places you could experience. That'd be a good place for it to happen.
Okay, I'm gonna ask you $64 question. I know everybody else is thinking about. 2016, when we started this, we were from $750,000 to $1 million. How did we get to $1.5 million?
We started, we knew that it was gonna be, we were thinking 1.2, I thought,
Yes.
as per metal rather. I think that was where we were. I was
In
thinking
2016, Mr. Cameron estimated 1.16 in 2016.
closer than I thought.
And the $600,000 to $800,000 range has been the shingle range. Is if my memory serves me right. And it's been between 1.2 and 1.5 is what we tried to express over the years. And I know when I presented this back in the budget cycle for the 17-18 school year. When we brought that to you at that time, we did present the numbers based on a shingle replacement. Because the assumption was we'll go with the lower amount. If we had a shingle roof, to go back with the shingle roof. But then in those conversations, it was evident that it was everyone's intention to proceed was metal, even though it was going to be more expensive.
I think this board, where to go. Wanted to make it.
So the initial presentation was for shingles, and that would have been right around $700,000, and we quickly abandoned that. And said, well, when the time comes, and of course, at that time, we were telling you it's 3 to 5 years out. We just wanted to make you aware of it, because we didn't want to come in a single year and request $1.5 million in addition to our normal request, because I knew Phil Ferry really struck out on us. We're just taking vacation.
Let me tell you one more thing. This gentleman that the report, I've known him for 4 years. He's a very good consultant, very good engineer. And his estimates are usually pretty close to being on right on some par. Since he wrote that report, we've had extreme labor issue in the roofing industry, in construction. How many folks are in construction or have ever been in construction? So you know what I'm talking about. We went back and looked at the last 50 projects we had that were over about $400,000. And starting in about 2016 to now, the prices have doubled. So this is a pretty good price, taking all things into consideration, because you got the labor, and then you got the coronavirus issue that's got everybody on pins and needles. And congratulations to your county for being, finally got a couple of cases out here.
Well, it's not going, I don't think it's going to be any cheaper, things usually don't. So we might as well fight for it.
Well, now I'll tell you how I feel about it. I come from the old stage, and we always try to juke you down.
I was sitting on the shot.
I've never bought anything that I didn't try to juke down. And I think,
Right.
I mean, I've been here since 2008, and I've heard the school discuss. And at one time, we put money back and was going to start it, and it was a lot cheaper then. But then, school decided they needed other things, so they put it on reserve. And I know things has gone up. You want to buy groceries for the same price that you got them in January for. But we have saved a little bit of money to go on it, but it's sure not a big deal then. And we know that our budget for next year is going to be a lot of difference than what it was this year. And so I know this is a lot of money, but now I will agree that we need to do a metal roof. And we don't want to have to go back and do it, but Jeff said we had, that's it.
Jeff, what, I don't have that bid sheet right in front of me right now. What's our number?
So the actual contract for construction is $1,462,800. I have to add to that the engineers fee. which when I came to you back in the winter, I told you that would be 8%. And Miss Martha, I come from a long line of, yeah, you don't ask, you ask a little bit. So we did go back to Mr. Hall and ask, we could do a little bit better than that. Mr. Hall did come back, what, 7.5?
7.5, and then we feel like while we were doing this, we had to do some civil engineering because you got some underground drainage, and that's something Jim was talking about. And we'll manage that for you, just like a general contractor. We're doing the construction, administration of this project, so we're gonna do that at the same time as we do the roof. It's not gonna cost us any extra trips, not cost us any extra hours, but that service is gonna be included in the fee that we propose to do the whole thing. It amounts to a 10 or 12% discount.
Well, now I feel a little bad.
Well, I do have, and I knew somebody's gonna ask that, can we make it any cheaper? We can go without changing anything, we can go from a 30-year warranty to a 20-year warranty. Would y'all be interested in that?
Is it a different bill? Same stuff?
Same exact construction. Yes.
So what you're doing is just getting out of any warranty for the last 10 years.
What's the difference?
Yeah, but then you sit here saying if you take care of it for the last 50.
It's gonna be on you to take care of it, because if you don't, if you take care of it,
Won't be on.
it's gonna be on that. If you take care of it, your warranty's gonna be
Except warranty anyway, right?
And I do it. For the North Carolina Public School Maintenance Association, I do a presentation about roof warranties. And you can save $50,000. They would give you $50,000 off that contract price if you change the term.
But the metal is same gauge and everything.
Everything is exactly the
So
same.
the work don't change, everything stays the same.
Everything stays the same, and I wouldn't offer it to you. I would not offer it to you.
Now, we're not approved for the Board of Education to go ahead and do architectural work for a certain amount of money.
At 8% of the contract. But
Did we not provide the money for it to be done?
I've not seen this yet. But we haven't requested,
They haven't requested a pay.
we haven't drawn down any funds yet because we're not at a point to pay. We're getting very close to that. But yes, you did, back in the winter when we came to the, your normal monthly meeting, we made that request of 8%, and it was based on a $1.5 million estimated budget at that time. But I just want to let you know, we did discuss it, and I did go back and talk to Mr. Hall about reducing that. So it's a 110,000.
Well, 917, we said 5%.
So go back to that 20-year warranty. What is the difference in what we're getting? You're not getting any different metal. You're not getting
The only thing you're getting is a piece of paper that $50,000 that says 30 on it. That is the only thing that's changed about this project.
It's like an extended warranty for your car.
Yeah, it's like buying an extended warranty. And one of the reasons we go on this extended warranty is because we want to deal with good contractors and good roofing manufacturers. We want people to stand behind their stuff for 30 years.
Kathy, you promise you'll get
So,
it. You're sitting here telling me it's a professional roof. I'm afraid that if my roof, if I take care of it, I'm gonna get 50 years out of it. I mean, that's kind of no better. We drop down to 20 and say $50,000. I mean, it's amazing, wouldn't you think?
The thing about it is, I'm on your track now completely. This contractor that put it, the chances of him being in business in X amount of years with the company, coming up with him anything over 20 years. I I'd rather put the $50,000 back in the pot.
Certainly.
10-1, and let y'all manage that, then I had to go with that. But at the same point, we want the same craftsmanship by the workers as if they were putting on a 30-year warranty record. We don't want no shortcuts and craftsmanship.
That's my job.
Where do you live now?
I live in Monroe, but I don't know how many of y'all will get your haircut across the street here at Black's Barber Shop. Alice is my first cousin on my mother's side and my third cousin on my father's side. That's because of like that.
You know, I think in talking, the whole thing about warranty, is every time I hear a discussion about warranty on anything, but especially something like this, I kind of cringe because my experience has been that a piece of warranty, you know, $2 will get you a cup of coffee. And
It's a legal battle.
it's because in 20 years or whatever,
Yeah.
like Steve says, the chances of that same entity being in that same, not just place, but in the same configuration, not being bought or sold or something. And it's just, even if it's a manufacturer's warranty, you know, it's difficult. And then it becomes, well, we're going to prorate this, we're going to do this, we're going to show that you did not maintain it. I mean, I'm just very skeptical about warranties.
Well, you sound like you've been sitting in my business. There's an old adage in the roofing industry, and I don't want to dissuade y'all from anything, but there's an old adage in the roofing industry is when the water runs in, the guarantee runs out.
How much would 10 years cost?
That's all it is. They probably wouldn't discount it. I've been hammering on this, guys, because I knew somebody like you was going to ask that.
We come up, whenever it come up, and I was, full disclosure of the meeting where notes are there, whenever it come up before, and we talked about 8%, you know, that was, we felt that was a pretty hefty number, considering all the things that in place. And so that's where part of this, what Mark was talking about, and just number, and we did, while we were looking at this, we were hoping to be surprised at what we had, because of the money that we have allocated, you know, have got reserved, with everything else that's gone out this year. You know, it's interesting.
There's one thing that we need to keep in mind that whatever we're gonna do, we're on a tight time. There's no reason to go on Avery County, middle of December to 1st of March. If we're gonna try to get a roof on that building, we need to get it turned around, and we can turn that contractor loose as soon as possible. And that's entirely up to y'all, but just kind of keep that in mind. That's like, our school is a good example of it, not being able to bid at the right time, or even to wait another year to bid and get it built. If we don't give that contractor, if that contractor don't start within 30 days, we will get high to roof on this year and not the high next year.
We've got a day limit on this contract. And
What is it?
It's 120.
120.
That's what I thought.
They indicated that they can complete the work in 120, so if we started
Now, does that,
tomorrow,
will that count, does that weather days count in that?
That counts Christmas, that counts your birthday, that counts weekends.
Like 120 calendar days.
First day of fishing season.
so if they started tomorrow, it'd be October 22nd.
There is a way they can get extra days, and there's a chart in the specifications that says, in June, typically there's 6 rain days. Okay, they have to figure that into their contract. If there's 9 rain days in June, then they can come back to us and say, there was 3 extra rain days in June, we want those rain days. but they have to do it on.
But the rate is raining, they'll be finished in 2022.
Well, we like to push them along because, you know, it's.
Can your contractors finish that job in 120 days?
Yes,
Because I know the building.
sir,
I know the building.
yes.
It's a big building.
It's a big building that's cut up, but they can do it. It's a huge roofing company. Cityscape is a small part of the Bulldog Group, which is they probably do $50 million worth of roofing.
Jeff, what was that alternate that we pulled out for the ancillary work, the guttering and ground work? Do we have a figure on that at all?
We're anticipating that not to exceed 80,000. I don't even think it would be that much. What we're dealing with. We just need to dig old guttering, piping, those new. Right. I mean, as Woody said, it is a big building, so it's not just.
How many square feet are we talking about, Bruce?
60,000.
60?
So
We need to cut that.
basically about 165. 165.
Jeff, how bad's the building leaking now?
There are, what I understand, there are 3 active leaks presently that every time it rains, water is getting into the building. Yeah, and the way the weather's been lately, it's leaking a lot.
No.
They do go up on the roof. They will try to identify where the water's coming in. They will caulk it. But then what happens is they'll caulk it here, and then the water goes past that and finds another area to get in. So the front office, the media center, and right in front of the gymnasium are the 3 areas that tend to be the ones that are leaking right now. Now, that doesn't include other areas where, you know, from time to time, they'll get water. Or I feel like there are 3 places that it consistently every time.
Where are you at, total dollars and cents with his proposal, plus your $80,000 for the other?
1,602,510.
1,652.
I'm taking the 50,000 off for that. I'm going with that 20-year warranty. That goes with the 20-year warranty.
1,602,000.
If you go with the 20-year warranty. Did I do that right? I'm not a finance officer, but I've been playing mine lately.
1,602,510.
Is that at 8% or 7.5?
7.5.
And there'll be a discount.
Is that right?
Discount might be whatever $50,000.
Does that also include the 7.5?
Yes.
We talk about $1,600,000 here, like we talk about $10. So
No, we don't.
Well, now, I've had metal roof on my house, and I was trying to figure out, and I know it's 20-year-old. And all I've ever done, I had a man come check the screws, see if any of them are pulled up. And the main thing about metal roof is keeping your gutters cleaned out. Because if you don't, the water can get up in that guttering and it can go right back up and under it. And then you've got problems around the edge.
And we do address that in our specifications.
Okay.
They run over the front edge. They run over the back edge.
You did.
It's a water.
You just said we're going to reduce it. So,
And there's not a lot
He
of
will
trees,
redo this
it's
thing
not
based on
covered by
the
trees in that area
$50,000.
either, which makes it a little bit easier.
Okay.
We've had problems
Take the 50 off the year.
with not using the gutters.
Well, you get some.
Madam Chair,
Yes.
we can talk about this till September, and I'll never get started, but I think we all know what we need to do, so I'm gonna ask that we have consensus to put this on our, as a budget amendment on our July meeting.
And just so you'll know, going back, refiguring, taking the 50,000 off for the warranty, adjusting the engineer's fees based on that cost. And then the 80,000 for doing the groundwork, 1,598,760 would be the estimated project. So
You're going in the right direction. Keep going.
Now, is that the 20-year?
that's just a 20-year warranty.
We showed 652. Was that what we had built?
We have 683.
683.
So we would need an amendment of 915,760.
9:15.
760. I hope.
$1 million, basically.
I don't do, I'm not,
That's that response. I'm asking, I'm saying, I'm offering a consensus to put it in the budget amendment on the July meeting.
What's your time frame? If we appropriate the money in July, what will be your time frame of being able to start?
If you can give me a notice to proceed with the contract for right now, we can start by the end of July, probably. But I'd have to have an assurance that they could go ahead and start ordering materials and getting all the paperwork ready. And I'll get the contract ready. It'll be ready for you. You have that in hand by a week, $50,000. And then I'll have not to place on that.
How much work with school going on and children in the building?
We do this all the time with children in the building. Now, that's one of the reasons when we get all those shingles off, is that waterproofing membrane down. Because that's the messy part, and that's the part where, because they'll put the metal up on the roof, they'll spread it out on the roof. And then there'll be very little activity on the ground. I hope so. But there's very little activity on the ground. But we work with school districts all the time. We work with the children at school. You know, we're gonna have a guy on site probably 2 days a week, 3 days a week, according to how the job's going. We'll have years off as we need. But he and the roofing superintendent will be in contact with that principal, and Mike Buchanan and Jeff and whoever we're instructed to be in touch with, will let you know exactly who we're working every day, so that y'all need to move some classes around, look what you can. I understand from the principal what the extra classroom space. So we're just gonna have to, you know, when they start putting the roof down, they'll put the clips down, and they'll be able to hear through the insulation board and everything, screw going through that. And that'll be the biggest sound that people want. And that'll be isolated, pretty much one classroom area or 2 classroom areas per day.
And you know, sometimes up there, that wind gets to being over 100 miles an hour, don't you? So you better watch what you do on the time. Just on the top.
I spent my misspent youth over here in Middle River. So
Okay.
I had a second shift job, so I could fish every morning.
I want to ask one question as a minister. If we were to get through COVID by spring, in your professional opinion, I know I'm putting you on the spot, do you think these bids would be any better? Is there, you hear that you can't get mail right now, steel manufacturing is down, it's hard to get this, it's hard to get these supplies. If you think people get back to work and we learn to deal with this COVID and we get through the winter and people are catching up, that there could be a possibility that a bid in the spring could come in at a better price.
Okay. Let me
Just your opinion. I know I'm putting you on the spot.
Anytime you bid a job more than once, the price goes up at least 10%. No matter what the other conditions I've been doing this for 40 years. And I know that don't, that sounds like and I can't explain it. I mean,
Because they know what the other did the first time, so.
yeah, and so they kind of say, well,
I was just hoping.
But I'm not trying to, like, we'll do anything you want to do. You know, we work for you. That's technically sound. But I would probably, you got two contractors here that really want this job and needed this job. Because they didn't have any work set to do this. I don't think metal prices are going down. No.
And see, our next meeting is July the 6th.
6 or 7. July 6th.
Right, Blake has said that we would,
I can't make a motion, so I'm just asking consensus.
we're just, what does the rest of the board want to do? Woody, what do you want to do?
I want to put a roof on it for about half that. It's got to be done. That's the bottom line. It probably won't be the cheapest. But take care of the building, so. I'll bring it back. We'll put it on the agenda.
Alright. Mr. Dennis, what would you suggest?
I second Woody's motion, not to make the price be this. No, I mean, the discussion is moot at this point as far as need and possibilities. I mean, we were aware of that coming into this. It just from, as the bean counter in need, looks at our budget this year and what we've already extended past what we started with. Whenever we started budget discussions, and makes me, run backwards thinking about that. I would like to. I mean, we can. I think it's going to have to be done. I would like to examine as we look at the funding, rather than just put it on automatically as out of appropriations and kind of discussion, maybe try to look at some avenues where it could be funded from or through in a little bit different way. But as far as it being on the July agenda, I don't think there's any way around the fact that it needs to be done.
Let me ask a question, if I may, my turn. When we get a lot of money? Is that fair to ask?
Yeah.
While he's looking, I can go ahead and say that I think this was all about trying to get the best price, get the best quality deal. That's not what's in the bottom line, it's got to be done. And got to take care of it. So I agree with you, just put it on the agenda for the July meeting. That's what we can do.
I just don't want to automatically default to let's take $100,000 out of the front. I mean, I want us to look at some other options.
When we have that meeting, I think we can discuss that at that time.
Well, I agree with each one of you that it's got to be done. Like I said, we started talking about this in 2008. And we just need to go ahead and carry it to our July the 6th meeting. And we'll discuss and carry that out.
To Dennis's point too, and to echo something I've heard Woody say, times aren't always gonna be good. And you gotta do it while you can. And it needs to be done, there's no question. Times aren't always gonna, sun's not always
Well, the
gonna
bottom
shine.
line is, if we don't do something, we're gonna pay more money to fix what damage is gonna cost. So
Absolutely.
Does anybody like to see what the lottery is this week?
So we can,
My chances would be better if I bought one, I think.
and you can still pay for the school.
So when does that come in, Bill?
It's appropriated by the month. So I'll just remind the board that we did take $1,947,000 for the high school project. So we have a balance in the lottery as of June 1st of $364,000.
And that comes in monthly.
We're allocated so much amount.
So they're gonna
So
pour that money into schools and then they put it in the general fund. I'm talking about the general fund.
right. Okay, now I'll bring this up at this point. The House last night proposed bill 1225 for education and transportation bonds that has to go to the voters for school properties at $3.1 billion. But that's if approved by the voters in the fall. That's just like last year's budget was supposed to give us some capital money for our school projects, and you see where that's at. So if is the word I don't like.
But in those things, I think are in this discussion because.
They're not here yet.
Well, and they're not gonna be retroactive.
Right.
I mean, whatever they propose, we're not gonna be able to go, oh, by the way, let's throw that back to July. So, I mean, I don't think we can, I mean, we can expect, we can look for that, we can hope for that, but I don't think that's gonna affect this decision.
No. The only thing that affect this decision is the 340,064.
All right, I think we discussed the Cross North School project enough, and we need to move on to our next agenda item, Avery Middle School air conditioning project.
Thank you again. We have had some tremendous success with our concept of the standalone unit. And Mr. Burleson, Dr. Burleson and their maintenance team went in and they personally installed for the first time this test unit. And it took a little bit longer. And I'll quote Mr. Buchanan, it took long because we didn't know what we were doing, but we figured it out. And they sure did. And the room has stayed a perfect 68 to 72 degrees, even under the stressed conditions. They put heaters in there to test them. So we have had tremendous success with our tests. Mr. James, do you want to expand on that? And where we're at basically is looking to see what it would take to install each of the units. There's about a 4x4 hole has to be cut to wall. Yes. For each unit. So you want to expand?
So I guess bottom line is the bottom line. What we're looking at is about $2,000 a unit for the material. And the unit itself, we need to purchase a total of 25 to complete the first and second floor. So we're looking at just that right there is 50 grand. However, what we are in the process of trying to determine is, could we get the same concept installed by a licensed professional, and what would that cost be? The reason for that is it took about a day to install the unit for our maintenance team. So for us to install 25 units, it's going to take a month, which means our maintenance team will be devoted to that project over the summer. We will not have time to do the normal processes that, with the changing air filters and going in and taking care of the chillers as we crank those up. All the preventative maintenance that goes on, plus the things that come up over the summer, we need, we got people we need to move. So, and I'm not against the maintenance department doing it, and they're not against doing it either, as long as everybody understands that if this is the route we go, then they're going to be, this would be priority, unless there's sparks flying or water filling up the room somewhere, but it will off and they'll take care of those.
I have an opinion on that, sir. I think we ought to contract it out.
If you contract it, you'll get labor, warranty.
Right.
And,
That was another concern.
right, and then you take away
When you're going
time
up
that's
to
needed
system.
for the maintenance crew.
Right.
And,
So-
and I think, and you're dealing with people that do this every day,
Right.
so,
Yeah.
I think we're better to contract it out.
Yes. Now, I agree with that, so, but as of, last time I spoke to Mr. Cannon, he has not gotten the current price back from anyone yet, we're still investigating what it would, the labor would be involved, what the cost would be. As soon as we have that number, we will provide it to you. But those were the two routes as of right now. It is working, and like Dr. Goodman said, it's held that room. I told Mike, I said, I want you to go put 3 or 4 heaters in there, I want you to crank the heat up to 90 degrees and see. So, because it's one thing to crank AC on 1st of June and get a room to 70. It's another thing when it's August and the sun's hitting that building and, the bricks warm, so spike it. And they did, and it.
Well, and don't we, I mean, not to be sound pushy, but doesn't this need to be a time sensitive item too?
Yes.
I mean, we need to get this done to get the contract ready and get going and get this done before the kids get back in school.
We do, and so I need to push Mike, see where we are with contractors. I know he's reached out to, I believe, 3 different people to try to see. The other thing that you deal with when you're going out for contracted labor is, again, the workforce, trying to find someone that is not 6 months out. There's only so many HVAC people in Avery County. Getting them done just service you. AC units.
Are you having full power to each unit?
Yes,
I mean,
they'll need full power to most of you, not every unit, they'll need full power.
Question about that, about the standalone. How does that work in common areas? Like, I think about Avery Middle School's front office, that big open area where you're.
We would have to strategically place them
Okay.
at multiple locations.
That's
The
been
unit
taken into consideration.
the unit itself will be about 1,800 square feet, so,
Gotcha.
we worked it out.
Okay. I was just curious if that was gonna treat
No,
seems like it would take away from the effect a little bit, or make it a little more difficult if it was not, if the common areas were warm and then the classroom,
no, we factored in the common
Okay.
front office area.
I
Some brand Mitsubishi.
I don't have that in
Mitsubishi.
right here,
I know.
but I've got it over here on my commander's table. I'll get that. I've got the spec sheet, so I can pull that up.
Mitsubishi.
I don't want it to sound like,
I do know that. I think Mitsubishi's are the best. I've always, I thought, at least the trade that over at church on, guy told me that Mitsubishi's the best.
Oh, yeah.
He said that's what I need.
Are these dual cycle tips, heat and cool?
yes. Yes, they would provide supplementary heat, which is a plus.
It may result in energy savings with fuel hot this winter. Saves more.
just spending electricity.
You don't want to use a heat pad. That price is much more decent. You know, those units, that might be something, you know, you got one room, you got a teacher that's kind of going or something. Your BTU price would change your mind.
So that is something we're gonna try to get on the go ahead pretty quick on that, if we get a pricing. That'd be great.
Gonna have it by our next week.
I haven't brought in nothing yet.
I found a lot of these places back from here to put in a placebo thermostat helps a lot. People get a lot warmer when they turn the thermostat up. Don't have to be connected to that. You know, I mean, I've seen that absolutely work in place, because I have done it.
While Jeff's hunting that up, we'll just move along to the Cranberry Middle Freedom Trail, HVAC project, and reach out. Have you got it?
No.
Okay.
The unit is on the dock. Cranberry Mill. That's what I was told today. We have moved forward. They will begin demoing the old unit and installing the new unit this week.
We're blessed to have it on site. A lot of us be great.
All right, now what's the verdict on the Cranberry Middle Freedom Trail?
That's what I'm saying.
Okay, all right.
So who's doing that work, Jeff?
CSS Boiler. They were below bid.
Is that a lengthy process?
He tells us that he will definitely have that unit installed and running before students come back on August 17th.
You're talking about the AC.
Yes. And now, the boiler may not be installed before the children actually come back in the building on the 17th, but the boiler will be up and functioning before October.
Is that not a sectional board in the state? No.
Yeah, it's
I just, I'm not complaining, I'm just asking a question with my history, which Steve can attest to with the school system. Why are we replacing a complete board if it's a sectional board?
I can't answer that right now. I'll need
That's
to-
our question, Steve.
It is a fair question. And
Because we
I have had
have
that-
sections.
yes, we've replaced single sections and boilers in the past. I do know that when we did the high school boiler last summer, when we looked into it, it actually ended up to be more cost effective to replace the entire unit than to replace the individual sleeves. Because of the way they construct those now, they come in packets and you can't get a single sleeve. You have to end up getting 3 sleeves, the way the high schools work. So the more sleeves you got, cheaper the total cost was. I'll need to go back and confirm with Mike. I do remember discussing that, and I can't remember how many sleeves in that boiler are actually leaking. We were having issues with. It may be another one of those scenarios where, because of the number of sleeves we're needing to replace, a total replacement ended up actually being just a little bit more than getting just the individual units. But I'll have to get you an answer and come back later. Okay. Charles, right?
All right.
Sorry.
We'll move right along. That's everything. Avery High School's addition and renovation.
We're still moving along steadily at Avery County High School. We've been notified and it was announced earlier this month, I think June 9th was our meeting, in which we had a facilities work session. And the end date for being completed on the additions is a moving target. We were informed at that time it would be April 21 now. So we were all surprised by that extended completion date during this work session. So we're in the process right now following up with the architect and the general contractor to see if we can locate or have provided to us a recovery schedule to try to get that timeline trimmed back up to the original completion date. As you all know, in January, we were told Christmas of 2000s when that project would be completed with a dry end date of Thanksgiving. So it was quite a surprise to all of us. That's where we are. We've received notice that the piping is the trenches are being dug. The safety fence is put up around the side of that school, standing in the road looking at it. They did hit some rock. I don't know if they hit more rock since our last update, but there was some rock in that trench that created a little bit of a delay, which we anticipated a little bit of rock in there. But they're making progress. We're still looking at the labor, the amount of labor to come to that campus each day. Hopefully they'll start picking it up and have more workers on site. COVID-19 has impacted the labor force somewhat. We had electricians stand down, I think, for a total of 10 days that were quarantined. So a total of 10 days, which electrical work stopped. So now that has been picked back up. The electricians have been cleared. So hopefully we can see some good weather without rain as we proceed through the summer months and see some significant progress in the project. So Jeffrey, if you want to add anything, please feel free to. I believe that.
Does COVID, I know it affects everything, and I know it's affected this, but do COVID days fit into weather days? Because when we started this, there was no such thing as COVID. All they had to build into their schedule was weather, rain days.
I don't think the COVID days align with weather days, but what we're seeing is the COVID is impacting the access to materials and the number of people working for the subcontractor.
But that's not our fault.
I do know that I had a conversation with Pierre last week, and he did say that there was some discussion from Branch going the direction of basically requesting additional days due to COVID. And Pierre said, we're telling them no, but contractually, it can't be done. But there is a clause in the contract that will prohibit that, so that they cannot use COVID as an excuse for an extension of their contract.
I'm going to share a rumor. Sorry, we all do. But I've been told that only 80% of the days that they have missed can be accounted for properly. 20% of them cannot be, if they're not actually days, that they can take, that they can use as weather days. Is that accurate? And who's keeping up with that?
The architect has that information. We can certainly, I'll be happy to chase it. I will be happy to get on the phone tomorrow and request that information.
Well, we knew when the onset that the timeline could not be met.
Now, I will tell you, I have seen the chart of the weather days that they are requesting. It shows this is the day, this was the conditions. So I have seen that. I still have that in my possession. But like I said, I'll be happy to request that copy. We'll dig into it.
I mean,
I've not heard that rumor myself, but
you probably work where I work.
no, that's right. I'm just saying,
Different circle.
yeah, but I will definitely ask. And,
It serves all of us to watch it. I'm sorry, that's just the world we live in.
And each day that there's, each time that they are talking about hitting rock, that's from Dennis.
Also look at him and say, you were told this was wrong. Because he was told multiple times by me.
They still say it's just stiff
Yeah,
dirt. No, that's
One
the
thing
judge.
that has got us on code, they got a lay down time that they can't have a material because from such and such place for X amount of days after they unload.
But that too is not built into their contract,
No,
and it's not our fault.
that's not our fault, but, that's one thing at the end of the contract, they ever thought that's why.
Yeah, it's, everything has to sit 4 days. Once it arrives on
Once it
site, it
arrives
has to sit
on
4
site.
days before they can touch it. So,
And we have asked them to order in advance, so that we have been very proactive in this and saying, why is this not done? And, you know, can you not order earlier? So it's not like we're just sitting back hoping for it to flood in. We really have been trying to say, is there a problem? Why is it not progressing? What can we do?
And there have been no children in the building, you know, and
And staging, location, place materials was a challenge, but Jeffrey's worked with Tim, our SRO over there, and Mark, our leader, to come up with a temporary solution. Use the parking lot at middle school, we understand we could relocate it August 1st. So we found some additional storage space to accommodate the pre-ordering well in advance, you know, this waiting period. So we have a solution in the way, hopefully we'll see materials on site in a proactive manner.
And we asked West Cumming as far as, I don't know if y'all remember last summer, we were hoping right after graduation they'd be there digging, but it was on up in July before early ground up broke. So we had a pretty good heart-to-heart conversation with them because of days that should have been, I mean, you all know this, if you're missing June and July in Avery County to build, you've missed your 2 best months right there, or 2 of the best months. So yeah, we were disappointed that it came back as April, because like Brigham was saying, in January or February, they told us one, and in 4 months, we lost 4 months. I'm thinking, how did that happen?
well, those 4 months, those 120 days that we're out now, in a lot of ways, were the 120 days lost on the front end.
Yeah.
And, you know.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, because it all was hinging, I mean, that initial date of getting in August, starting actually, initially, you know, we were supposed to be going in, the school started this fall. Yeah, those, you're right, it's those initial days, that was contingent upon getting it dried in by Thanksgiving, this past Thanksgiving, or December, actually, I think is when it was supposed to be. And of course, we still don't have a roof on it.
One of the things that happened too, though, is, once they started moving on that dirt from the beginning, the front of the school, they had to stop and do the soil map.
Yeah, yeah.
Well, that pushed all of the building into a different direction, and then they had to go in there and they worked in mud, because the ground never froze. So, you know, they had to put gravel when we would have used dirt, and so once you started, it pushed all that work into December and January, you know, it had to slow them down, because they would have had dry, they could have been in dry working. So, I visited the site a couple of weeks ago, and there's quite a bit of work that's been done that you cannot see from the road. And that might be something that everyone will have to do sometimes, go see just what's there, because you actually have 2 halves of the building that's got a hole in it until they can get crane in there and get some things done. But I was quite impressed with how much work they've gotten done, because it does not look that much.
It'd be good to do another tour like we did.
We can set that up.
I
That's
mean,
a
not
good
just not
suggestion. Set up
people ask
between
us questions, even though we aren't in there every day or anything.
maybe between now and your July meeting. That's, well, it's almost July now, so we're running out of time. So,
Just whenever I'd like to check
maybe in
it out.
July, something like that. We'll look at calendars and have Stephanie communicate. Both boards set that up. Okay.
Gonna be impressed. It's gonna be awesome.
It'd be good to just have an update, so when people ask, we know.
And it's like that says, you can go up there and sit across the road and look, but you don't see, so you don't change.
You can walk the steps up where you want to the gym, special stand. If you need an air conditioning in parts of the building that's been done, work for done.
Great, baby.
And mechanical room is pretty good shape.
But we need a roof.
And it's a metal road.
That's right.
Yes.
What's he doing?
All right, let's move right along to our next thing on the agenda, other school related issues. We want to talk about that. Or do you have any?
Which one do you want?
So the only thing I wanted to bring up, Dr. Krigman, is what we talked about yesterday, after school. And we did meet with Whammy, and correct me if I'm wrong, Whammy is committed to providing after school to the citizens and the students of Avery County and the working families. And they said the money's going to come from somewhere. So they're going to get active with the grants, and we've got a meeting next Monday with Amy and John Blackburn, and we're just going to try to beat the bushes. And we've got to have after school for our working families, guys. So if you know any grants we could go after, you know, they're just like, we can do this. So correct.
That's
Anything I
exactly
need to
right.
add to
And I
that?
appreciate your leadership and your determination on this to sustain this essential program for our kids and our families. So, and arranging the meeting next Monday. Mr. Black. Thank you.
Have you talked to them downstairs?
We have talked some downstairs, and we've
I'm
talked,
sorry, yes,
yes, DSS. Yes, and Whammy is talking with them to get accredited, so state dollars can help pay for after school. We need to try to get to that point. And then Dr. Rigman has, you know, kind of said, well, look, you know, number one cost is personnel, number two is the food and feeding, which is so important. So we kind of started talking about how we can make this happen.
We can weave it into our supper program. Ms. Tammy informed us after our meeting that that's a very good possibility.
So
Well, is that covered everything?
I'll just go ahead and step out and let you know that the board approved the calendar since the last time we met. We had several options in terms of the calendar changes that were imposed on school systems based on COVID-19 legislation. And the only feasible calendar that we could consider was the August 17th start date. I know there's a lot of buzz around start dates. It is confirmed our calendar will start for students August 17th. So right now, that's when students will return, and I look forward to seeing kids in classrooms and teachers teaching kids.
Do you believe that we're going to be allowed to have school start back then?
I can speak from a very opinionated standpoint.
I'm just asking your professional opinion.
My professional opinion is the best thing for us to do for Avery County to start school August 17th, and that's my hope and prayer that we can do that for our kids. However, we have 2 months between now and then, so anything can happen between now and then.
I heard that Cooper was going to start mandating blindfolds so people couldn't see what's really going on.
I missed that update. But they're giving updates on a pretty continual basis coming out of Raleigh. And many folks are at the table trying to come up with ideas and scenarios, but I think basically this is totally an opinion. There's going to be some local decisions to be made based on the actions of the Board of Education to do what's in the best interest of Avery County. And that's my hope, is that they'll leave it up to the local boards of education to make those reentry decisions.
What a novel approach.
Yes, sir.
Wouldn't it be nice if our founders intended the closest, the most effective most government that's most effective in your life to be the closest?
All right. I think we covered everything, and we didn't bring you here to starve you to death, so Cindy has
Good for us.
cooked for us.
Yeah, you see.
And, so, do I hear a motion from our board to close the meeting?
So, thank
All right, Blake made the motion, Tim seconded. All in favor? Woody? Martha?
Dennis Overjohn.
And Phelps, aye.
Wait, Vance, aye.
Ours is closed.
Before we adjourn, can I say,
I was gonna say.
oh, you please do. I'm sorry.
I was just gonna thank y'all for looking at this and working with us to help take care of kids. We really do appreciate it. Yeah, you do.
That's it. I was gonna say, so.
Well, with that, I have a motion to adjourn this meeting. Thank you, Pat. Second.
Second.
Thank you, Steve. All in favor?
I'd like to say one thing before we adjourn. I want to thank Avery County Board of Commissioners, present and past, for what all they have done for Avery County students. Avery County had one of the first synthetic football fields, thanks to the commissioners in North Carolina. They built us a tennis court behind the high school, second to none, thanks to the commissioners. We were one of the first systems in the state to put a technology device in every student in the school system. We didn't start part one, part the other. We done that on our, thanks to the Board of County Commissioners. They built a new school at Banner Hill, thanks to the Board of County Commissioners. Okay, for years, we've been working on a high school. Thanks to this Board of County Commissioners, we have got an outstanding school started, and we're going to see it finished, something that Avery County will be proud of. This is my last meeting with you all, and I can't thank you all enough for everything that you have done for the school system over the year, for all the students in it, for everything. And it's just like the meeting tonight. Y'all are bending over backwards on a close budget, but you're still trying to do what's best for the students of Avery County. And I want to thank each and every one of you, present boards and past boards. Martha and I have been down the road a long time. Thank you all so much.
Well, thank you, Steve, for your service.
That deserves a hand right there.
Like to note the fact that this is the last meeting with us for the Steve. I want to thank him for his service to the students and the children of Avery County. His service didn't just start when he went on board of education. His, along with the math, his service started back to what, Steve? 72. So there you go. And I put in 25 years. But I want him to know that I appreciate him. I know this board appreciates him. What he's done. He's been a public servant for Avery County for years. It's not done much.
He has, he saved us untold thousands by knowing, like, again, what you could.
Crawling
this, yeah, knowing what the buildings are, you boys know those buildings inside and out, and it's bittersweet to see Steve go. I know he's ready to go on and move on. It's sweet for him, it's bitter for us. Yeah, well, we do, that's right, Bill, we do have a cell phone number. But thank you all for those kind words, and he has been such an asset to this system. We appreciate it.
All right, we need to ask John if he would lead us in that.
Oh, I sure would. Dear Heavenly Father, we just come before you with thanksgiving. You are such a good God, Lord, and we know that you love us and you take care of us. And Father, even through all this pandemic,
Well,